go ahead and subscribe and share them and hit that like button for me. Hey everybody, it's Matt with Everywhere Auto Repair. So today what I've got going on is I've already done one job. Me and Tino, we did a it was a axle, a CV axle on a 2007 Impala. Basically, the chick was pretty industrious that she tried working on her own car, and like I said, she's pretty industrious, almost had it, but it was just stuck. So we came in, got it out, ran into just a couple obstacles while we're there, standard, knocked it out, and now we just left AutoZone. And we got a lower control arm for a 2018 Chevy Sonic. Basically, this customer here was talking on the phone and drove into a curb, and I came and did an inspection on her vehicle a little while ago, and her axle was bad and her control arm was bad, and she bent her sway bar link is made of plastic and it was broken. So we got all those parts. Finally, we had to order them from eBay to get the parts, but we got them, and now we're going to replace that, and I'm going to show you how to do the axle and the lower control arm on a 2018 Chevy Sonic. All right, so this is the Chevy Spark. Tino's jacking it up right now. First thing we're going to do is jack it up. We're going to take the wheel off. Well guys, I ran into a problem. I had all my stuff stolen a couple weeks ago, and among those things were my axle nut socket set. And so I went out and I bought another axle nut socket set, but as you can see, the 35 does not want to fit in here. So I'm gonna have to go and buy it from AutoZone or something like that, I don't know. But I'm gonna return this axle nut socket set to Harbor Freight, and I'm never gonna use it. And then I'm gonna go on Amazon and buy something from like Gear Wrench, or maybe I'll go buy a Snap-on axle nut socket set. But this is unacceptable. Like, this thing failed me right now. No more. So the next time we pick up the video, I'm gonna be back here and we're gonna get this axle nut off, and then we're gonna continue the job. Alright, so we're back out here at this Chevy Sonic. I have a 36mm 12-point chrome socket from AutoZone. As you can see, it just barely fits. Barely fits, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, so we've got a 1/2-inch ratchet, and then we're using a jack handle as a cheater bar. Go ahead and do it. So there's your first step. You're gonna take the axle nut off. And right now, Tino is taking the wheel off. Okay, so right now he's disconnecting that little guy right there, and then he's gonna get in here, and we're gonna start by taking this caliper off. Okay, now some people, they're gonna wanna take the bracket off and by just taking these bolts out. But in my experience, it's easier to just take the caliper off, because then you're fighting the brake pads. You're fighting the brake pads with the bracket and the caliper and the rotor. Just take the caliper off, then take the pads off, then take the bracket off. And so that's what we're doing right now. Caliper and then caliper bracket. All right, the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take this little screw out. So I've got this Master Torx bit set from Capri, and this thing is great. This is really come in handy. So we're just gonna pick out, looks like a T35. Let's see, did I pick right the first time? Oh, it's a T30. Hey, T30. Now you gotta be careful with these bolts, because they're super easy to strip out. All right, now we turn the wheel and we're gonna take the tie rod end off. So there's an 18 mil on the bottom that he's gonna take off right now. And then we're gonna loosen this guy up, and then we're gonna knock it out of like where the tie rod end actually sits down in the knuckle. But it's very important that you be nice to the tie rod end, because if you mushroom the stud, then you might not be able to get the nut back onto the tie rod end. So what we're gonna do is watch. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna hit right here. I'm not gonna hit on this, okay? Now this has a big old thing right here to where it probably wouldn't be a big deal if I did wanna hit on this, but I'm gonna try and not do that. So it's not coming out easy. I'm just gonna sit here and hit it a couple more times and then it'll come out. All right, now there's these two bolts up, these two nuts up here. There's this one right here, and then there's this one right here. Those are 21 millimeters. And then after that, we're gonna take a little hammer. We're gonna take our little hammer and we're gonna tap those bolts out. And then we're gonna pull our knuckle out. And then we're gonna pull our axle in and out of the hub. Now we got this thing out of here with much difficulty because the lower control arm is warped from the accident or from hitting the curb or whatever. But now we've got the knuckle separated from the strut. Now he's taking this wheel speed sensor out. It's a little hex thing. It's a H5. Now right here we've got a 15 millimeter nut holding on the ball joint to the hub. Now you see he's using a deep well as well as an extension, and what that's letting him do is it's getting his hand up away from the knuckle so he can swing his ratchet in a full arc. All right, we got the knuckle off of the lower control arm. You can see that the lower control arm's all bent up from hitting the curb. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this little axle out. So there's a plastic cover that he's taking the clips out for right now, and it's all this thing right here. That's what we're taking off. Now to get the axle out, we just reached in there and just bloop, and it popped right out. But we're also replacing this lower control arm. As you can see, there's a bolt right there, and then there's a bolt right in there. All right, so we got that guy out now, and let's look. We can see how bent it was, and then when we were pulling it out, the bushing was actually hanging up because you can see that it's all ripped and whatnot. Well, I guess you can't really see it, but trust me, this guy is falling out, whereas this guy hopefully will be nice and snug up in there. Okay, so right now we can see that the sway bar link got broken. It's a plastic sway bar link on these Sonics. I've got a set of vice grips holding on to the stud, and then it's an 18 millimeter, and I'm just working it. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the bottom here. Kill it. All right, we got the lower control arm set, the new one set in there. All I did was I just kind of moved the lower control arm up and down, and I hammer it into place, and then I move it up and down, and that allows me to play with it enough to get the bolt in from the bottom and the bolt in from the front. And then we're going to, from there, we're going to put the knuckle back on, and then just put the new sway bar link in. But before we put the knuckle on, we're gonna put the axle on. All right, so you see he got the top two bolts in there. He put our tie rod end in, and then he got it connected. Got the knuckle onto the lower ball joint right there. and he's putting about to tap this this little bolt in. All right, so don't be dumb like us. Don't forget to put the axle actually in, okay? Put this thing in and then put your knuckle on. So we had to take this back off, so don't make that mistake. Okay, the sway bar link didn't want to go in, so we used our floor jack and did some of that action. Jacked the whole strut up because the strut mount was too low. So we jacked it up, connects to the sway bar down there, up to the strut up there. Okay, we got the axle nut on, we got all our brake stuff on, and I tightened this guy up, full gorilla, that's the technical term. And then I don't have a chisel right now because all my stuff got jacked, as you know, and I used this beefy flathead screwdriver and I staked this. Now normally you want to have it staked real well. I got it good enough, okay, but if I had a proper chisel, then I could get it better. So that's it, guys. Now I'm just gonna put the wheel back on and this job's good to go. If this helped you, just leave a go ahead and like the video. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below, and then if you could subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. Keep an eye up the hill, guys. What? Oh my. What?